All right, we are live. We are live right now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kava podcast. You guys already know my name is Will. I'm the host of this show. I'm super excited today. I am super excited today. I got a very special guest. One of our Polynesians. But she has a different side to it as well. I'll let her introduce herself also. But one of our Polynesian sisters, all the way from Texas. She is an entrepreneur. And she is a military veteran. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to have her on the show and have her share her life story to you guys. So, but I definitely want to say thank you directly to her. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for joining me on this show and having the opportunity to share her life story to definitely impact a lot of you guys today. I just want to say, if you're watching this for the very first time, if you're tuning in, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Please show us some love and support. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And everybody that's been watching my videos and showing me so much love and support and giving me some positive comments and feedback. Thank you so much. That actually inspires me to keep going. But let's get back to this podcast. I'm fired up. Woo! I'm fired up, baby. I'm fired up. But I'll let her introduce herself real quick. So go ahead. It's all you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My full name is Celina Fuolelangi Lasa, but my business name and names on Instagram are Celina Langi. I'm 25 years old. I'm originally from California, but in 1 year, I'll officially be a Texan. And I am Puerto Rican and Samoan.
Nice. Puerto Rican and Samoan. That's a good spice right there.
Yes. Yes, spicy on both sides.
Nice. But like I said, thank you so much. Appreciate the time and thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to have you on the podcast. I guess I'm going to get it started. I guess the very first question I want to ask you is, how did you grow up?
Okay. So I grew up in Southern California. I was born in Corona. And then later we moved to Rancho Cucamonga. I know people in Texas think that's like a fake town based off the Friday, but so that was interesting because the school that I went to was predominantly white. And I think that's when I started to learn that I was different as far as hair color, as far as how fast my hair grew, as far as my body type, just the way that I speak. That was interesting. We couldn't afford to live there very long, so we moved to Rialto, California. Rialto is predominantly Hispanic. And then you have a handful of other races, but I believe it's predominantly Hispanic. And so that's when I started to see more people that look like me. And so that was fine. Then times, California is super expensive. So times got a little rougher. And that's when my parents decided to make the move to Texas. So we moved to Texas in 2008. Now that was a culture shock for me because just the school system, I moved to Lancaster, Texas. That's a predominantly Black area. And it's not too many people that look like me. I mean, in that town, people would always ask me, are you white, Black, or Mexican? There is no other option. Well, maybe Asian, but are you Black, white, and Mexican? Are you all three or are you two? So that was an interesting time. In school, having to wear uniforms and all that stuff. Unfortunately, I've never grew up around my own people, like Samoans, Polys. I've never had that experience. In Cali, I had cousins out there, but we didn't grow up together. It was just like barbecues and stuff like that. We would hang out, but I was a child. So when I moved to Texas at 13, that's when I started to really, I feel, grow up. That's when I started to like really realize things, understand things, process things. So my idea of family is my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, because that's all we've had,
Yeah.
High school was interesting. It was an interesting time. But I'm not gonna lie, I actually hated Texas. I remember my very first day at school. I was the first one to class, and the class was set up like a kind of like a debate. There were seats on this side and there were seats on this side, but we faced each other. So I'm sitting there, and all the Hispanics sat next to me, and all the Black kids sat on the other side.
Yeah.
And I literally went home and I cried, and I said, why did we move here? Because that school was literally so segregated and so clicked up.
Yeah.
And I remember like the Mexicans, they try to, well, I guess recruit me, you know, like they're like click. And it's different. Like Hispanics in Cali are much different than the Hispanics out here in the Dallas area. It's just different, you know? And so I'm just like, this is not right, because even though I grew up or went to school in areas where it was predominantly one race, my friend group has never been predominantly one race. So that was just interesting that there was a divide. So that was interesting.
What's the difference between the Mexicans in Cali, just for people to hear if they don't know, than the Mexicans in Texas?
Okay, nobody get mad. Don't cancel me. No, I'm just kidding. It was just like, okay, in Cali, I feel like people are just like you, okay, in Cali, I feel like you can be white, black, Mexican, whatever, you know, but the style and the way that you carry yourself, the music that you listen to, is not, it doesn't necessarily pertain to just your race. Whereas here, I feel like they were just more involved in their culture. Whereas in Cali, it's just like, it's just different vibes. I just feel like it's just a different vibe. If that explains it.
Yeah, because I feel like, I know, because it's funny, when I moved here from Tonga, I went to high school in Texas. I went to high school in Dickinson. I don't know if you've heard of Dickinson. It's by Galveston.
Okay, that's far.
But that's in Houston. That's in Houston, around the Houston area. But I can totally relate what you said, you know, because when I went to school, it was just like Mexicans, black and whites. And then when I came in, they was like, they thought
they're like, what are you, so we can put you in a box?
They thought I was just a tall Mexican.
yeah.
But I guess, you know, because if you've never been to Cali before, one thing I can say, because I do know Polynesians, I grew up more on the Polynesian side, but I do know Polynesians in Texas, and I do know Polynesians in Cali. I feel like Cali, it's more open and more progressive. Maybe say more, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to use this word, but maybe a little more liberal when it comes to like, and then in Texas, when I saw it's like very deep rooted traditional.
Yes, it's like you are what you are, and you stay in your box.
Exactly. Because I can meet Tongans or Polynesians or even like Puerto Ricans or Mexicans in Cali, and then when I talked to them, I wouldn't even know they were I wouldn't know their race based on how they talk.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and the things they're interested in, and things they like to do. But when you go to Texas, like everybody does the same thing, particular to their ethnicity. We're dressed the same way, listen to the same music.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Like, okay, like you can look at the different races in Cali and the way that people dress, like maybe they're more into like streetwear or whatever is hit at the time. I just didn't experience that out here. It was just like the style, the music, the lingo, everything was much different. I mean, now I've been here longer, so I'm gonna say, like, you might hear me say y'all are hella weird. So I might say hella and I might say y'all, you know, but when I first came out here, I'm like, why do you guys talk this way? Why do you call everybody bro? Like, what is, it's just different. Everything's different.
I know, you just gave me a little flashback of my high school experience. So I want to ask you, I know your parents, your mom's Puerto Rican, dad's Samoan. Were they very, I know you said, were they very cultural type of parents, where they try to, or they allowed you just to be like, just be yourself in America?
Well, I'll speak a little on my mom. So my grandparents are originally from Puerto Rico, but they raised my mom and my uncle in New York, and then later in Cali. So she didn't have a really, I guess, ethnic upbringing besides the food, the language, and stuff like that. But as far as being deeply rooted in her culture, not so much. And then that side of the family is pretty broken too. So raising us, learning Spanish wasn't really a requirement or something that, you have to learn your roots. This is where we come from, our traditions. Like I said, my family, I look at us like we're small, even though we're big. But we just kind of made our own, I guess, family traditions and cultural norms. My dad's side, my dad is from Western Samoa, but he came to the States as a teenager, and then even him too. his background is a little broken too, as far as like parents passing away, being adopted, coming to the States, not knowing English, just jumping straight into the workforce. So my parents, they met in the club. They met in the club in Cali. My dad was a bouncer, and my mom was dancing. So she wasn't an exotic dancer, but she was at the club with her friends. So that's where they met. So when they started a family, I think they raised us in a more American way than anything. You know, we have our different, you know, values and things like that as a family. And so, yeah, if that answers the question.
yeah, that's good. And that's cool, by the way. You know, and the thing is, like, you know, if you listen to this, I know there's a lot of, doesn't matter what race you are watching this, but, you know, that's, you know, a lot of us, you know, we grow up in this American culture, and then we just, you know, we go in this lifestyle, and then we just learn the things and how we do things here. And I really believe, like, you know, your environment, the way you grow up, it has a big impact into your personality.
Yes.
And I feel like, for me, like, that's one of the hardest challenges of being a ethnic child, is trying to navigate through that, right? Okay, my parents want me to be this way, because when it comes to culture, traditions, there's a lot of rules and responsibilities and things the way you have to act, you know, in particular to men and women.
Right.
But I guess the conflict goes is like when the American, what we go and see at school is different. Is different than what we see at home, and it's natural for us to be like everybody else.
Right.
So that's the thing I wanted to ask. But I want to ask you is I know you spent some time. I don't know if I want to ask you. I'm sure you've probably spent some time with your dad's family, and with your mom's family. Did they, you know, did they ever label you as like Americanized?
No.
And did you ever go through that?
We never refer to ourselves that way or anything like that. But I just know from my friends or maybe just like how my cousins and stuff were raised is just maybe just a little different. And so I feel like maybe the way people, like, because I follow a lot of people on Twitter that may be from back home, or maybe they live in New Zealand or, you know, Australia or whatever. And so they may look at me as she's an Americanized poly, you know. So that's why, you know, which I don't take that as an insult or anything like that. I feel like my parents' sacrifices are what has given me the American dream. So that's not anything I would take as an insult. I embrace it, you know?
Yeah.
But no, we don't refer to ourselves as like Americanized or anything like that. I just know my mom has shared, you know, different facts and things like that about her upbringing, and then my dad too. So I'm knowledgeable about like their past and different things that they went through. But as far as being, or maybe like the pressure of being like the Samoan daughter, or the pressure of being Puerto Rican daughter, I've never experienced that. They just kind of raised us to be our own people, raised us to be hardworking. That's it.
Yeah, that's cool. And thank you for sharing that, by the way, because that's one thing I always, you know, when I talk to my young siblings and cousins, or just people in general, you know, I always tell them, just be yourself. You know, I know it is sad to see, and I see this within my own culture, that, you know, if you're too American, you know, if you're too Americanized, you know, they'll judge you. You know, they'll call you, you know, Fia Palangi. It means you want to be white.
Yeah.
But then, of course, but then if you come from the islands, and you come to the islands and come to America, and you're too ethnic, they'll call you fob.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, if you're too Polynesian, you're fob. If you're too white, you're whitewashed. So I don't know what's the safe place.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that's like in any culture. It's like, oh, you strayed too far from your roots, or oh, you need to learn your roots, or you know.
I know, and I feel like we just gotta we need to create a culture now and today to allow people to just be themselves, because I know later on we're gonna have a deep discussions about growth and entrepreneurship and success. I really feel like that we can't really achieve our full potential in life if we can't be ourselves. And whatever culture you're born into, whatever environment you're born into, doesn't matter what country you're in, like that culture just becomes your personality.
Right.
Because for me, I grew up in Tonga, so when I first came from Tonga, I was a straight fob. But then I went to school in Texas, and of course, there's no Polynesians in Texas. So I started learning from other cultures, started to fit in. And then I slowly like my I guess my identity evolved from being a fob to being an American, like American kid.
Yeah.
I know. And I put a lot of, and then it's funny. So when I graduated in Texas, and I went back to Cali, to the Bay Area, shout out to the Bay Area. I started hanging around Tongans again, Tongans again. And then I realized that I was like, wait, I can't connect with them no more, because I'm not the same person no more. My personality is different. My mindset is different.
Right.
But then I was always afraid to like, not to hang out with anybody else or be seen to be hanging out with anybody else, because I didn't want them to judge me and criticize me. But then so I kind of held back myself from doing the things I really wanted to do. But then, once I started getting older, I was like, you know what? I want to be myself. I want to hang out who I want to hang out. I want to spend time who I want to spend time with. And I'm just going to be myself. And then when I started doing that, I don't care if people say I'm too white or I'm too fob. I'm just going to be me.
You are, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then once I started being myself, I just started, I started growing, and I started being better. I started attracting things I really want to do for my life and be more happy. And that's just the narrative I want to push out there for everybody out there to feel like, just to be yourself, be yourself. I know,
yes.
and of course, by being yourself does not mean I'm not ashamed or I'm trying to diss my culture. No, I'm still a proud Tongan. I still love my Tongan culture, and I still speak the language. But I realized that, being Tongan is part of who I am, but it's not all who I am. If that makes sense, right? So it's just a part of the part of the pie that makes up me. But I'm not. But I don't know. Yes, also being American also is part of who I am. So and then so for me, I'm just I'm a proud Tongan, but also being a proud American also. And I feel like when we try to put people in categories of, like you said, fit people in boxes, then then that part of the personality that they're trying to hide is actually one of the best things about themselves. And if you don't express one of the best qualities of yourself, then you kind of like not putting yourself in the best position to reach your full potential in life.
It's like a disservice to you and to your audiences or whoever you're trying to reach, because it's like that one thing or that one side of you that you're kind of holding off on might be the missing puzzle piece that someone else needs to hear.
Yeah, so. And it's just funny, like I have people on my podcast, right? That I have fobs that reach out to me, hey, I love your stuff, Mac, because they relate to my fob side. But then I have like, people from other cultures, even white people reach out to me, hey man, I love, I can connect with both because I embrace both. I'm not trying to hide either one, and it's just who I am. So that's my, and thanks for bringing that up. I'm glad you brought that up. You talked that part.
This is another thing. So I was telling you about like the different. I went to so many schools as a kid. We moved around a lot. Yeah. And then, I went to another school in Texas too. That one was a little more mixed, but my high school was predominantly Black. But after high school, I joined the Army, and a few months after joining, I got sent to Kuwait, and that was a culture shock for me too, because I'm 18 years old. I've never seen anyone wear a turban in real life, and in America, they try to put these things in our minds that these people are bad, or they're going to do this, or they're going to do that. So it's just like, as an adult, I think once you're an adult, you learn to unlearn a lot of things.
Yeah.
But because we moved around a lot, both in Cali and in Texas, when I joined the military, I had so much exposure to so many different people from different walks of life. And I feel like if I didn't have that upbringing, then I would just kind of stay in a clique or find people that look like me, find people that sound like me. But I could communicate with anyone. I can get along with anyone. And I feel like my upbringing helped me. So when I was in the military, I didn't struggle too much with communicating and working with others.
All right, thank you. Before I think before we go into your the military part of your life, I do want to ask you. I guess growing up, as a kid, early in high school, I guess I want to ask, what was like the most part of? Was there any experience that where you grew the most, or like was there things that you went through? Because I know sometimes I do have a lot of teenagers that watch this, and a lot of young people watching this. So I want to offer them some value to their life. So what was the hardest thing for you growing up as a teenager and trying? Because I really feel like our childhood, what we is like has like what we do in our childhood and what we do and the experience that we go through has a big impact on who we become later on in life.
Right.
So for you, just looking back at your childhood, the things you went through, what was the one experience or one moment in your life that you feel like that you grew the most, and any challenge that you went through that definitely helped you kind of pave the direction to the type of woman you're going to be today?
Okay. When I was in high school, well, not to, I know this is not the poly thing to say, but I don't like sports, just to be real. So there was an option to be in JROTC. Most people are familiar with it. So if you're in JROTC, that gives you a PE credit. So I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have to walk around and be sweaty in my uniform all day. So I was like, okay, I can do this. So I took the JROTC class, and they had a drill team. So they had like an unarmed drill team and like a regular drill team, basically like Cadet Kelly. You know, you dance with weapons and you do routines and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, this seems like pretty cool. It's like a military step team, you know, but people in high school are pretty brutal. They'll judge you. They'll call you like, oh, you're dressed like a pickle. You got that pickle suit on. Why are you wearing it? Like, you look lame. That's like hella lame. Because every Wednesday, in order to get that PE credit, not only do you have to participate in the class, but you have to wear the uniform, you know? And so it was at that point, I'm just like, I don't really care what people say, you know, like I thought it was cool, you know, it's like, that's one day that I get to wear something different. Because in high school, we had to wear uniforms. You only wear like black and white and navy. So I'm like, okay, I can wear green, and green is my favorite color. So you can't tell me anything. But that drill team is where I faced the most challenges, because one, I'm not an alpha female. Things don't come to me easily, and I barely have any rhythm. So learning those 7 to 8 minute drill routines and trying to stay dressed to the right and using your peripheral vision and just learning all these routines, it didn't come to me as fast as it came to other people. But I feel like that's why when I fail at things, it doesn't really bother me, because I know, well, I don't typically get things right on the first time anyways, but it just challenges me to try harder and harder. So while I was on that drill team, I remember we were practicing one day, and I kept messing up like this one step. And my drill team coach, he was like old school, hardcore, like Army. He used to cuss at, like, even though we were high school students, he used to cuss. I feel like if he could, I feel like he would have beat us up too, because he didn't play. He did not play. And so he told me, he was like, Lasa, if you this up, like, you're getting kicked off the team. And so I'm like trying to do my routine, like, you know, and I messed up. And he kicked me off the team. He put me on, this was when I was a freshman in high school. So he put me on JV. And I was like, you know what? My parents had been telling me like, oh, it's okay. Like, you can quit, like, you can try to be a dancer or a cheerleader or something. I was like, no, like, I'm going to do this. So I was on JV for like a few weeks, and then he allowed us to try out again for like varsity. Because I know people are going to think this is lame, but like my high school, okay, we used to compete like at the like state level, state champions. We used to compete at nationals. We would go to like Florida. Okay, so we were legit. Anyway, I worked my way back to the varsity team. And it was that year that the drill team coach said that he wanted me to be the drill team commander. And that was just like such an honor, you know? And there were some haters, you know, because it's those people that are like, I haven't even got kicked off the team. Like, I've been proving myself. But the reason he made me the drill team commander is because he said, even though I have pushed her to her limits, even though I kicked her off of the team, she did not give up. And so those are the qualities that not only that he saw as a kid, you know, but that I see in myself too. And I feel like that's who I am today. I might fail, but I keep trying. You know, you're not going to cancel me. So that would be the best example.
Hey, thank you for sharing that, and I can clearly see why you're doing what you're doing now.
Yes.
Why you're doing so yeah, and also everybody, you know, I know high school, I guess, you know, just for all the listeners out there that are kind of young, I think that's one of the toughest things in high school, because I feel like in high school that's when we're trying to figure out like who we are. You know, we're trying to navigate that.
To everyone else.
Yeah, and then we saw a lot of, and most of the times, and I've been a victim of this. Like, we it's much easier just to fit in and not stand out and just be yourself. And I guess that's one thing I always preach to my young siblings. You know, I know, and of course I know high school can be harsh, man. People are mean in high school.
Yeah, they were calling me a pickle. Like,
I know, like, like high school kids nowadays, especially now with social media technology, people recording you, like, in group messages, people can blast you and make fun of you.
Yes.
Cyberbullying, all that stuff. I always tell people, like, look, don't pay attention to it. Just be yourself, because you don't see it down the line. You will see the overall picture. High school is just a small part of your life. I know it's sometimes we become like prisoners of the moment, but just like to just be yourself, because like I told you early in the podcast, like when you're yourself, that's where you grow the most. Where you grow the most. Imagine if you decided to listen to everybody and quit, and like your whole life trajectory would have been a lot different, right? If you decided to quit and not be in the ROTC, you probably would have been in the military, because that experience was so traumatic to you.
Yeah, honestly, basic training was like such a breeze because of the high school coach I had. Like, I feel like I had a drill sergeant for 4 years in high school, so like I was prepared.
All right. Can you can you talk about your military experience? Can you talk about like what inspired you to go into it, what you went through, and just talk about that journey and how that kind of molded you, impacted your life to further develop you as a person. And so I've had some veterans on my podcast before that did talk about the experience, but if you don't mind sharing that part.
Yeah, of course. So my parents always teach the importance of education, and that's like the biggest thing. Recruiters oftentimes target lower income communities. Like you'll never see an Air Force recruiter going to high school. Air Force is like, come to us, but like you're always going to see like the Army and like Navy recruiters going down, like actively going down to high school, calling your parents. But they advertise the education opportunities. And so that was like, ooh, yay for college. And then of course I was in JROTC, and I was like, okay, well, this is fun. But JROTC is nothing like the Army. So that was on me, but I had that childish mind. So anyways, the recruiter came down, and I was like, oh yeah, like, let's do it. He had to speak to my parents. I think I was like 17. But yeah, I had already had my mindset on it. I wanted to do human resources, so that's what I joined as. So I graduated high school in 2013. A month after, I joined the Army. I only did 4 years. I know people are just like, only, but that's literally like the basic requirements. But I always said that the Army was going to be a stepping stone for me. At first I said I wanted to do 10 years, but then eventually it got back down to 4. So I joined as an E3, and then there's different requirements to get promoted. Sometimes it's with points, sometimes it's with a time and service requirement. So for me, I always got promoted either with a waiver or right at that mark. So I was 21 when I was a Sergeant E5, and I was just like, okay, wow, like this is cool. Like I'm good at this, And I loved the Army. I loved my job. I love my soldiers. I love leading. But the reason I left is because it just wasn't fulfilling, And it's just like, people can tell you all day long how important you are, what, how much they appreciate you and how much good that you're doing. But just living with that level of uncertainty. I went overseas twice when I was in. I was in 4 years. The unit that I was a part of was a rapid deployment unit, and I just didn't like that, not knowing when my time would go. There was nothing that could enable me to go. It's just, when it's your time, it's your time. So I definitely used that as a stepping stone. Would I go back? No. And am I grateful for the foundation that it gave me? Yes.
No, so I know you said you were deployed and you went overseas. I want to ask you, and this is something I always challenge people, and I realize for me, why I think that people always ask me, like, because I mean, I'm a naturally, well, not naturally, I choose positivity. I love to stay positive, and I know for a lot of people that's really hard because but because naturally, as a lot of people don't know, naturally, our mind is wired to be negative. We're negative people naturally.
Right.
That's our mindset is always built to protect you, and the way to protect you is to give you negative thoughts to doubt yourself, because it doesn't want you to go outside your comfort zone. It's much easier for your mind to tell you to be safe and be comfortable. But that's another discussion.
Right.
But people always ask me, how do I stay positive? How do I keep a positive perspective? And I tell them the reason why I believe I'm a really positive person, because I have a unique perspective, because I grew up in different places. I grew up in Tonga, So I grew up in the islands where there's a lot of, and I grew up in America. So, the islands, as much as I love the islands and grew up in Tonga, and it was, I had some great times, but there's a lot of poverty and a lot of struggle, lack of opportunities that we don't have here. So I have a different, when it comes to life, like I have a different perspective to realize that what I have in America is so great. Like, I love being in America. I love being an American. I love my opportunities. No matter how bad my day is here in America, I'm like, it's nowhere close.
Like, you don't even know.
Yeah, I don't
You don't even know.
I mean, it sucks sometimes with stuff that I go through, but for me, it's because of my unique perspective, understanding that there's always, the world is what I'm doing. I mean, my life could be a lot worse. It's really, really hard for me to focus on the negative. I just kind of, focus back on the positive. What can I do to move forward? Because I always have this perspective that there's a lot of kids out there, a lot of countries, they're suffering and don't even have what I have right here. So I'm not going to complain and make excuses and be negative, be sad, even though I do go through those moments because I'm human, but I don't dwell in it. I just find myself to collaborate myself and just, I got to get back on it and move on. So I want to ask you, when you went to the different countries and you said Kuwait, how did that how did that change your perspective? Did you change what you did at all? But I'm just, what did you learn going to a different country and seeing the things that you never thought you ever see in your life, and just seeing how the people live, how the opportunities, the liberties of people are given in Kuwait. I'm not really sure, know a lot about Kuwait, but I'm sure that's a Middle Eastern country. And,
so I believe it's like 2 hours from Afghanistan.
Yeah, so based on what I know with the Middle Eastern countries, especially for women, like their opportunities is way different of how they treat men. So just going to a different country, seeing a different culture, seeing a different perspective, how did that change your perspective to what it was before you went to Kuwait?
Well, when I went to Kuwait, I was 18 years old, and anybody in the military would tell you that Kuwait is a vacation. And honestly, when you look back on it, there's so many amenities that weren't there before. Like there's Starbucks and Subway, all that stuff on base now. There's like 2 movie theaters and a pool and all this stuff. But when you're 18, the only thing that I'm thinking about is this is my first time away from home. I'm in the desert. I'm looking at people that I've never seen before, So on base, you see a little bit of it as far as like the women workers and things like that. And then the times that I got to travel off base, it's what I see is that you either have money or you're extremely, extremely, extremely poor. There's really no middle class.
Yeah.
So it's just sad to see that, people on the side of the road, lots of trash or like just random cars, and people out in the Middle East, they have money because they have that oil money. So you'll just see like a Ferrari or something just on the side of the road in a wreck, and in their mind they're like, oh, I'll just get another one. From what I've heard, the police, they're just kind of there, And then when we did go off post, we would have to adhere to their cultural norms as far as like covering ourselves, like don't show your, too much skin, stuff like that. Like don't really show your feet, because they really believe in like protecting their women's image and stuff like that. So just trying to respect their culture, but then still try to admire it and learn from afar, but much, much different. And it makes you realize, wow, I have clean water, I can take a shower. I have a dumpster. I don't have to see my trash every day. I can dispose of it properly. Just different things like that make you think and appreciate what you have.
Yeah. I want to ask you, was there any specific moment in Kuwait where you looked, I guess like, and like, damn, and that was like the word, like that was like, damn, I'm glad I live in America. Like out of all the things you saw, what was like the worst situation or saddest situation you saw in Kuwait that you're just like, damn, I'm glad. Like I'm glad to be. I live in America.
Well, for me, I know this was just like on an inconvenience thing on base because now it's a duty station now. So there's some people that are stationed there and they have like a room and a shower and everything. But the team of people that I went with, we had to stay in these like kind of like tent type of things. And so it's like the shower and the washer and dryer and everything was separate from where we sleep. So like the worst thing is like you take a shower and like you're trying to walk back to your room, but it's a sandstorm. And it's like, come on, my pores are open. Like this is why I was, my face was breaking out the whole time. I looked like a triple meat pizza when I was out there. My skin was so bad. And then like when I'm sleeping, I'm like, oh, I drank a lot of water today. It's not like you can just walk to the restroom. You have to walk, like go outside and walk to the restroom.
How far?
You know?
Like how far? Like how far was
It,
this?
it wasn't like too far, but still, I'm a woman. Maybe you just kind of like walk your back, like, you know, it's like just different things like that. And then the heat too. But you never really, I just think the American lifestyle is so convenient. What is this? What happened?
Oh no, something. Okay, you good.
I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
This looks like a hoobada boobada or something. But yeah, that was like the worst thing for me. The lack of convenience, I would say.
I can only imagine when everything was done, and you came back, you're like, oh.
Right, and I couldn't take a bath out there. There was only showers. Like we all take showers together. We all use the restroom together. So it's like, oh, I'm in the bathroom by myself. I can take a shower and I don't have to look at other people. And yeah, that's just having your own shower and toilet is a luxury.
Okay. So yeah, the one I want to ask you, I know you said that the military was a part of your foundation. So I guess what I want to ask you is like, what were the things that you learned in the military that became principles, became values, or things that helped build you as far as a person, your foundation? And can you talk about can you talk about before can you talk about before, okay, what type of person what kind of foundation did you have as a woman before going to the military, as far as like your belief, your confidence, self-esteem, faith, just, and then how did the military experience strengthen those things that you felt like was kind of lacking to kind of improve yourself?
So when I was in high school, I was always working towards something because we had competitions to prepare for, just trying to pass school, regular classes and stuff like that. But my favorite part of school was the JROTC aspect because we had that team, we had that unity, and then we all had to work hard together to, compete. And so getting trophies and all those things, that was just like, yes, we did it. So when I joined the Army, like I said, there's certain time requirements that you can get promoted. The Army literally tells you everything that you need to do to get promoted, what to do, how long it's going to take. So me, I see those numbers and it always gave me something to work to. So I'm just like, let me knock this out. Let me knock this out. Let me knock this out. But my favorite part about the Army was leading by example, because I can work on myself and someone to my left or right can see that too and say, let me join you, or let me just, or even if you don't want to join me, you can stand back and watch. But then once I do it, you're going to say, okay, she did it, I can do it too. So I've always seeked higher levels of responsibility. And then once I got promoted to sergeant and I had my own soldiers, I was able to share my testimony with them and let them know, you're young. People in the military will tell you, why are you trying so hard? You're young. Well, you have all this time. Well, why are you doing too much? But I never let that get to me. It's because I'm on a mission. I have a vision, and I'm going to take that and spread it to others. So that was my favorite part. Did that answer the question?
Yes, I can say. So I guess you say it helped you become a more effective leader, I can say.
I feel like I was a leader in high school.
Oh, okay, got you.
But I feel like once I was in the military, I was able to just continue on that path and just kind of build upon it, but at the same time discover who I am, because there's different leadership styles and everyone will tell you a different way to do it. But not only was I discovering myself, learning who I was as a woman, but still trying to bring as many people along with me as possible.
Okay. What do you think about the people that you saw in the military? What did they struggle with the most being in the military? Like just personal experiences, the friends you had and people you saw.
I'm being 100% honest. There are a lot of lazy people in the military. It is so easy. It is one of the easiest jobs to collect a check, because it doesn't matter how hard you work. If we share the same rank, we get paid the same. I could be working like sun up to sundown, and you can come in and do the bare minimum. Either way, we get paid the same. So there's a lot of lazy people. There's a lot of people that complain, a lot of pessimistic people. Oh, why is he in charge? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to wake up this early? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? And just so many naggers and stuff like that. But if you hang around with those type of people, or if you kind of feed into it, or, you're like, yeah, you're right, this is really dumb. Like, I don't know why we're up this early. It's just going to weigh you down, and you're only going to hinder your own progression, So it's just like, I was that type of leader that just was straight up, look, I don't know why we're here, but if we get this done faster, we might be able to go home early. So let's not worry about the fine details. This is what we were told to do, and it might not make sense to you. It might not make sense to me, but I'm going to help you, and we're going to get it done faster. That's the type of leader I was. I wasn't just like, do this, do that. It was, this is what we're going to do, but I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
So
did you ever have like this one of those people that are just so negative, so pessimistic that talking to them wasn't going to work? That you had to like, all right, we're going to have to take this to another level.
Yes. I definitely had soldiers that would test my patience or were very pessimistic, but those type of people, you just got to kind of love on them, because if you go there with them, if you go down to that level, it's going to do more harm to me. So that's why I'm just like, dude, I know it sounds dumb. It's okay. We're going to do it together. And because I don't really like to let people see me sweat, especially as a woman, especially as a young leader. They're looking for ways to kind of crack at you. Let's see how far I can push her. Let me see if I can really like piss her off,
Yeah.
And so I never let anyone take away from my professional image, and I'm never going to let you see me sweat, So I just feel like you have to be strong, especially when you're in charge of people either younger than you or twice as old as you. There's a lot of people that are a little older in the military, and they're just like, you can just see all over their face. They're just done with life, and they don't want a 20-year-old telling them what to do, So
I want to ask you, because a lot, that's I think like the military has a lot of values and principles that definitely help a lot of people grow foundationally, and I love the fact that you became a leader. You became you had your own group of people that you had to lead. And a lot of people don't realize how hard that can be. Especially for just put it out there, like you're a young woman, you're put into a position of leadership, and you have to lead men. You have to lead men.
It's literally, I don't have kids, but it's literally, you're like a parent, because when you're a leader in the Army, it's not just 9 to 5. It's literally, you're in charge of their whole life. So they're gonna call you when they're having marital problems. They're gonna call you when something is wrong medically, something is wrong mentally. It's your job to groom and lead them for higher level responsibility, to help them advance in their career. You're literally in charge of every aspect of their life, and you're still young yourself. So it's just like it's such an overwhelming responsibility, but it's very rewarding. Because you just get to give back. And for me, my problem soldiers were my favorite, because I got to see the biggest transformation in them. The ones that do their job, the ones that get promoted, they're smart, they're easygoing, you tell them what to do, that's fine. That's the easy part. It's the ones that kind of like, I don't want to, but those were the most rewarding people to work with, because you get to witness the transformation.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of girls out here, and I know sometimes I've seen it before, where I have a lot of friends, a lot of girlfriends that they want to go into like a position or promotion, but it's male dominated, so it's really hard for them to navigate and to take that step. And even if they do take that step, they get a lot of pushback. So can you talk about a little bit, like, do you have any specific experience, like just when you got promoted, and then a lot of the men started to challenge you because you're a woman, and then how did you, like, I'm sure it wasn't easy at the beginning, but you had to figure out different ways or communicate with them, how to approach them, how to I guess diffuse that situations. I just want to offer this experience to those women out here that's listening, and they're like, they want to go into a promotion, they want to do something, but it's really dominated by a lot of men. And if you can give them some advice on what you should do in those situations, and still prove to yourself that you are more capable as a woman to do anything you want to do.
I think the very first thing in whether you're military, whatever industry, business, is you need to separate your personal life from your business life, because people will use those things against you. So in high school, I learned, everybody ain't your friend. You want to kind of keep your business to yourself. So when I joined the Army, that's when I kind of rebranded who I was. And you wear the uniform, you kind of become your last name. So who LaSalle was is someone who's all about the business. I'm not partying or drinking with people my same age because I don't want to party and get drunk. I'm trying to get promoted. You know, I'm trying to lead. And so even though we're the same age, we're 19, 20, 21, you're worried about the wrong thing. So if I were to hang out with those people and do those same things, at the next day I could easily get promoted and I can be your boss. So how am I supposed to lead somebody and tell you what to do if I was just at the club with you? You have to kind of separate that, you know. But then the same thing in the workplace too. If you're working for a company and you want to seek a higher level of responsibility, then start having those conversations with people, you know, or see what you need to do to get to that level. Because if you're still gossiping and you're hanging around people and you're at your same lower level, as soon as you try to get promoted, now those people are just like, yeah, I know all her business. I know this, I know that about her. And so it's just like, I think image plays a big role in how you lead people. I think people want a strong leader. They want to know that somebody is solid, that they're not, you know, they're all about their business. And you could be the very person that kind of ruins that for yourself, especially with social media too. Your image on social media and stuff like that. So yeah, try to separate your work and life.
Yeah. And I also want to ask you, you know, because the one thing I do know about the process of life and growth, that we're going to make mistakes and we're going to fail. And then that's one of the hardest things, you know, of being a leader. You know, I've been a leader before in my previous job, from a previous profession, before I started doing what I'm doing now. You know, I used to manage like 40, 50 people. Sometimes it's tough because, like you said, we have to lead by example. And then everything you do is always going to be overblown. You know, if you know, no matter how small it is, you know, depending on
you're under a microscope.
I know, exactly, right. But like I said, I made mistakes in my career. I learned from it. But I do know there's a lot. I've seen a lot of people. Go ahead.
Sorry, I before I forget, because I know I'm gonna forget. Because you asked me about for women. So
for women,
in the military, I know even in other jobs, sometimes they think when women got to a certain position, no matter how fast or slow you got there, they think it's because you did something else.
Oh, gotcha.
As if you didn't work hard. But if you have that reputation, you have that paper trail that, you know, I was here, I was there, and you have that about yourself, that I'm all about my business, then no one can question how you got to where you are. Sorry, I was gonna forget it because I know that's a really big thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've seen that multiple times in different industries where all of a sudden a woman comes up and then that's for men, that's the first. Oh yeah, you know, she didn't get there through her efforts. No, she slept her way up the ranks, and I've seen that before. But yeah, I want to ask you, you know, as a leader, you know, as a leader, I've made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of people have become leaders before, and they make mistakes, and they just fall under the pressure. But I always tell people, look, it's just like anything in life, doesn't matter what you do, you know, even leadership, that we're gonna make mistakes. It's not always gonna be perfect. As much as we try to put a lot of emphasis of trying to be a great example, but we are human. We're gonna make mistakes, but you know, that's just part of growth. We're gonna learn from it, balance from it to be a more effective leader, to lead the people. So, can you talk about any experiences that you went through being a leader in the military that you probably, you know, failed, or you probably, you know, didn't do your best, or made a mistake, and how you bounce back from it and continue on to be a great leader in the military?
There was when I first joined the military, I wanted to be an officer. So there's two sides. There's the enlisted side, and then there's the officer side, or the commission side. But you have to have a degree to do so. So as soon as I joined, they had revised tuition assistance. So soldiers can't utilize their education benefits until 1 year after serving. So I'm just like, okay, well, my recruiter didn't tell me that. But I filed for FAFSA and all that stuff, and I didn't know too much about that. But I'm like, okay, let me ask people, blah, blah, blah. And so I was so determined to get onto that education track. So, okay, I'm doing that. Well, you also have to have like a certain score. What is it? You have to have a certain GT score to have certain jobs. And that's like the same score that you get if you take the ASVAB. And if you don't have a 110 or above, you can retest. So while I was in Kuwait, I was taking like night classes to try to improve my GT score. And so I remember I was studying, doing all this stuff. And I remember taking the test, and I think I got a 108. and you needed a 110. And everyone left
Yeah.
the testing center, and I just sat there and was like, it's okay, look it up. So you have to wait 6 months to take the test again. So I got back to my duty station, and then when you work human resources, you kind of just do whatever the Army just wants you to do. So at that point, I was like, okay, you know what? I'll start taking the class again to prepare. So in 6 months, I can improve my GT score. Well, then my unit tasked me, they tasked me to the tax center. So I'm just like, what? So the IRS came down, they taught us how to do taxes. And then I had to work at the tax center, file people's taxes, all that good stuff. And the class I was supposed to be going to, it's like 4 hours a day. But I remember asking my instructor, I was like, can I just come during my lunch break? So I was literally only going for like 15 minutes a day. But I was just like, just give me the worksheets. And I was like, I promise I'll do it at home. And then on my lunch break, I'll just ask you to review my work. And the teacher's like, okay. So that's what I did. And I kept doing that like during my lunch. Because I could only go there for 15 minutes because my lunch was 30. So I had to factor in like the driving time too.
Yeah.
And so I remember taking that test again. And the next time I tested, I got a 115. And so I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, first time I got 108, then I had to wait 6 months. And that little 15 minutes every day, like it really paid off, So just different, I just think that was the biggest challenge is you have your goals, but then you have your primary responsibilities too. So I feel like the average working person can take that into consideration too. You have your primary job, but then you have your personal goals. And it's up to you to make that time to get to where you want to be. It's your responsibility. It's not your job's responsibility to make time for you to excel. It's yours. Yeah. So I just feel like that was my biggest thing, is just finding time to excel.
No, I like that. I like what you said. It's not your job's responsibility to take time for you to grow. I think I heard a quote a long time ago. I think somebody was speaking. One of the people I like to follow. He said that please work more on yourself more than you work on your job. Yeah. And then they're not saying to put less effort and not do your job do your job from whatever 9 to 5 whatever hours that you're supposed to work. Do your best at your job. But make sure you put in more focus and spend more time on yourself. On yourself, because that's where it's going to take you to the next level. And I feel like a lot of people default victim. That's why it's hard for them to achieve their goals, or their personal goals, or what they really want to do for their life. If you feel their goals and dreams, it's because I guess there's a whole discussion behind it. Because sometimes I feel like it comes from the school system, or we just kind of programming kids to focus on one avenue of life of success through school. But it's not really teaching them to get outside their comfort zone, something we'll talk about later on today.
Yeah.
But I guess, having a growth mindset, and that's something I learned from myself. I was in the sales industry for 7 years. And then I realized I wasn't fulfilled in what I was doing, even though it was great. I was making great money for myself. But like I said, I just felt like that I wasn't fulfilled. And what I started to do, because I feel like even though I was working, I was really doing really well. I was one of the top people in my company, but I just felt for myself as a person, I wasn't growing as a person. So I started working outside and actually doing things on the side. I realized social media and podcasting and being a speaker was something I really I was really passionate about. So after work, I would go home and start working on my dream. So I'll get home really, really late, around 9, 10 o'clock. And then from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll be making content and I'll be doing stuff on social media, and then I'll go to sleep. And then and I did that for 3 years. And then last year was when the pandemic hit. That was when I realized, you know what? And then of course we couldn't work no more. And then I was at home, and I was now instead of having 3-4 hours at night to work on my dream, now I had the chance because of the pandemic to really work a full day on what I wanted to do. And I just got so much fulfillment on it. I was like, you know what, it's time to take that next step. And then I just left everything, and then kind of took my entrepreneur route, doing what I do now. But I feel like that if I didn't put all those hours of 3 years before of the extra time, just work on myself, I wouldn't have the full courage to just leave everything and take that risk, a leap of faith, and go into the unknown and do what I'm doing today. If I would have been, I know that for a fact, that if I didn't spend all those hours after work and just investing into myself and what I did, I wouldn't have the confidence to okay, I'm gonna leave everything, because I did a lot of work. I already had a lot of work before I'd be doing social media for 3 years. I was I saw the body of work I was doing. And I realized, imagine if that's just the body of work I did investing 4 hours of my day. I just told myself, you know what, imagine what kind of, the quality of my work and body of work I could create if I actually dedicate my life to it. And I was like, it was really easy decision to me. I think it's time to go on to my next path of journey. So thank you for sharing that. That's a really valuable lesson for everybody out there. Like, you have to take time and spend time on yourself more than you do on your job. But that does not mean, you start slacking off your job. You still got to get that check.
Right. You still have to, yes.
Girl, all boys and girls, you still got to get that check. Don't and do your job and at your best, but always spend time and on yourself after work. Thank you for sharing that. So I guess the last question I want to ask you about your military experience, just for everybody out there that interested. I think I believe me personally, I think the military is one of the best opportunities out there. There's so many opportunities and things that people don't realize what the military can do for them.
Right.
So if it's something that you want to do, if anybody out there that you want to join, you should take that avenue. But I want to ask you, is for anybody out there that has aspirations to go into the military, what are things they should know? What are things they should know before taking that step? Because I've had some friends, I'm not gonna lie, I've had some friends that call the military, and then they're like, oh my God, they regret it. They regret it. Some people have great experiences like you did, but some of them they regret it because they realize their natural selves, like you said, like the military has you gotta, there's a structure and there's a discipline that you need to follow. And then a lot of people, they're not really structured. They don't like to listen to authority, and then going to the military was like their worst decision in their life, because now their life is totally hell because they're in a situation they don't like. But it is what it is. You made the decision. So for everybody out there that wants to join the military, can you give them some real stuff, like what you should know, what you should expect, and not just go in there not knowing what you're doing and learning along the way?
Well, for one, the military, in no matter what branch, is very political. Two, you will almost always find yourself doing something that you don't want to do or something that you don't understand. And maybe the person that told you to do it, maybe they don't know why or they don't understand, but that's just the way that it is. Three, I would say, if you're going to join, be very intentional about its purpose. And so if you know that, hey, I come from a military background, you have that experience and you want to do the 10 or the 20 years, okay, great. If you go into it, I would never go into it saying, oh, I'll just see how it goes. Never. Do your research and be very intentional about why you're joining and what you're going to do with it, because the military is what you put in, and so the military, just like anything, you don't get rewarded for doing the bare minimum. You don't get rewarded for doing your job. That's why you get paid every 2 weeks to do your job. You get rewarded for going above and beyond. You get rewarded from separating yourself from your peers. And you will go through moments of difficulty when you question what you're doing, but you're already locked in. And so when I was about 2 years in, I knew that I wanted to get out, but I didn't waste that time. I said, well, while I'm here, I'm going to see how far I can go. So I was still going to the promotion board. I was still challenging myself. I was still doing above and beyond for my soldiers. I wanted to get out, and my company made me the retention NCO, which means that I was responsible for recruiting people to re-enlist. So I was talking to soldiers about the benefits of the Army and why they should re-enlist, but that's because it was my job. It wasn't my job to tell them my personal views and how I didn't like it. My job was to say, these are the benefits. What are your goals for your family? What are your career goals? And to, point that out to them. So just be intentional. And if you do get there and you find out that you hate it, do the best, put in 110%, see how far you can go, how many people you can take with you. And when you leave, people will still praise you for all that good work and the difference that you made.
Yeah, and I love what you said. Be intentional. I feel like that's why you should be doing everything you're doing in life. Just be intentional with what you want and not just leave it up to chance.
Yeah, you don't just want to be like a wanderer, because you don't want to let life happen to you. You want to make it happen.
Yeah, you saw a lot of people like that just wandering in the military.
Yeah, wanderers. Yeah, it's a dangerous place. You might wander into the wrong thing.
All right, nice. And thank you for sharing that the experience. So. Can you talk about leaving the military now? So you left the military now. and now you're trying to figure out what you want to do. Did you know what you wanted to do before in the military, but you realized you weren't fulfilled, but you haven't figured out what it was yet?
So I knew I wanted to work in human resources because my mom worked in human resources. So I joined HR in the Army.
Okay,
I went to school for business, and my ultimate goal was to be a director in HR of someone else's company, you know?
Okay.
So,
right.
I'll let you finish your question, sorry.
Yeah. So, yeah, because you talk about that. Okay, so can you just talk about your experience after you left the military? How was it going readjusting back to real life? Now you try to figure out what you want to do. And of course, you just talk about that journey and how that led to what you're doing now, right now as an entrepreneur and being really successful at it. But also,
thank you. Getting out, almost everyone convinces you like, don't go, like, you know, it's gonna suck being a civilian, you're gonna struggle with health insurance and everyday life, but something inside of me told me that I can do it. And there hasn't been anything that I said I was gonna do and haven't did it. But really I stepped out on faith because I didn't have a huge savings account or something really to fall back on. I just knew that I can't stay in here much longer because it's affecting my mental health, my anxiety. It's not mentally good for me right now.
Yeah.
So when I got out, first of all, I've always wanted to be a YouTuber since I was like 11 years old. I was like, oh, I just want to do my makeup in front of the camera and all that stuff. So I did experiment with that a little bit while I was in. So after work, I would do YouTube videos. I had my little setup and stuff. So when I got out, I was like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber. I'm gonna be like a veteran beauty boss. And so tried that out. And what I realized is that it was all fake because I had post-separation depression. You know, for so long, I wore a uniform that had my last name, Lasa, and I didn't know who Celina was. You know?
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting in front of a camera. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It was like very scripted. Yeah. And it was very like, you know, you're very depressed right now. And I still hadn't figured out why. And that's because I didn't know it used to feel weird saying, hello, my name is Celina, because I was so used to Sergeant Lasa, Sergeant, you know? Yeah. So that was weird. I got off the Army December 2017. I started going to, attending the university in person January 2018. And going to college, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, I think I want to be like in a sorority or something. Like, you know, I wanted that college experience, but I didn't have it. I had only been going online. And then I would have to like introduce myself, and it just seemed so weird. Eventually, I got my own place. I still started going to school, all that good stuff, but still something just seemed off. You know, like I think it takes a while to kind of, the lifestyle, the freedom, being able to wake up when you want to. No one's texting me or calling me saying, Sergeant, I need this. Sergeant, what do I wear? Like, I have an appointment. So I also felt like I lacked purpose, because before I was a leader to other people. People were relying on me. They had to communicate with me every day. Now I'm just like solo dolo loner. Like my phone is dry. Like nobody's texting me. And so I'm just like, oh, well, nobody needs me anymore. Does that mean I'm not a leader? You know? Yeah. But I feel like you don't have to wear a uniform to lead. I can still lead by example. So I'm going to school, and one day I was plucking my eyebrows in a little compact mirror. I did them one by one, and they were awful. They were awful. So I started looking some stuff up, and I found microblading. And microblading has been around for over 20 years. It originated in Asia. It's just not as advanced as it is today, and it's not as common or popular as it is today. So I was like, I think I want to do this. So like 3 weeks after researching it, I told my mom, I was like, let's go to Houston. I'm going to take this class. And she's like, what? That's so expensive. And I'm like, just don't worry about it. Just come, I'm going to do it. And after I did microblading, my mom was my model. After I did, I was like, this is so cool. And that's when I started my microblading business. I still had that level of uncertainty because I was used to getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, you know, and nobody is looking to hire a microblading artist. It's like a tattoo artist, you know, you just kind of do your own thing. So I thought I could be a traveling microblading artist. I thought I can go to people's houses and just kind of do it that way, but it turns out that's illegal. So in the state of Texas, it falls under microblading, which means I have to have a tattoo license. In order to have a tattoo license, you actually have to have a facility that you work in. So I was shopping around for salon suites. I found one in downtown Dallas, and she's like, yeah, it's $1,000 a month. And I was living on my own. I still had my apartment. I'm still in school. Like I still have bills, I have my car note, everyday life. And I'm just like, okay, how am I going to do this? I don't even have clientele. I don't have a beauty background. I'm not a makeup artist or anything like that. And I was like, where's the contract? I'll do it. So me putting my name on that line was like, you better promote yourself on Instagram. Like I started doing the math. I was like, you need to do this many people so that you can pay your rent. Because I wasn't even concerned about profit at that point. I just knew that I want to do this. I want to be my own like boss, you know?
Yeah.
And so I remember making flyers, promoting on social media. I did like 3 people, my mom, my sister, and like my mom's friend from work or whatever. And I just kept adding ads on that on Instagram. I ran like a microblading brow special. I made flyers at school. I was telling everyone at school, like I was so happy to stand up in my class, like, hey, I'm Celina. I do eyebrows. Like, even though it seems still weird to say that, but yeah, I started doing that in August that same year. So August 2018 is when I stopped going to school. So I went to school during spring, summer, a few weeks in fall, and I just dropped out. And I was like, at that point, I had seen the money coming in, and I was like, I can do this full time. I can do this. And now I'm here today.
That's a one hell of a journey.
Yes. Well, it's longer than that. You know, I try to be
Yeah.
But,
just for everybody to get some context, can you just I just want people to not only promote your business but understand what you're doing. Can you explain what microblading is? I guess just for the people that don't have no idea what that is.
Oh yeah, of course. So microblading is a semi-permanent eyebrow procedure. So I use like a very fine tool and has little needles in it, and I make hair-like strokes. So that's microblading. Micro shading is more of, it's like a tattoo, but it's done with like a modified tattoo machine. So basically, I do eyebrows, I do tattoos, but for the eyebrows.
Oh, okay. So that's way different than the regular eyebrows I see girls just put on and take off. That's way different.
Oh yeah, that's just makeup. This is semi-permanent, so this can last anywhere from 1 to 3 years.
Oh wow!
It's like a little surgery almost. Yeah.
Oh wow! I never. I just learned something today. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, it's not that invasive, but yeah.
Does that save girls time? Like, I'm sure that saves girls time. Like when you put it on and you don't have to take it, don't have to come off. And
yes, you can just wake up with eyebrows. Just wake up and go.
Is that the main reason why a lot of people it's something popular because they just tired of putting off and on? They can just put it on one time and it lasts for a long time.
Right. So people will do it for convenience. Like I get a lot of teachers or people in the medical industry that they're waking up early and they want to look cute, but they just don't have any eyebrows. Or I get older people who have poor vision or just an unsteady hand, or just the everyday person that just isn't artistic and has no idea where to begin. But yeah, those are like my main clients. But the main thing is convenience. So whether you know how to do it, you just don't feel like it, or you just don't know how to.
Cool. So for me, I'm just learning right now. I had no idea. So now if I see a girl doesn't come off, oh, that's microblading.
Yeah, you can go swimming, all that stuff. You can be cute on your vacation.
Oh, nice. All right. So and for me, I just I love your story, being an entrepreneur, because that's one thing. For me, whenever I see, like, doesn't matter who it is, but particularly Polynesians for myself, whenever I see Polynesians elevate themselves, it brings me so much joy. Like, it just makes me happy to see people, because I know culturally, I know when I'm my Polynesian community, a lot of people, we always stick to our, stereotypical industries, and I never see anybody try to take that next level. And like you said early in high school, usually the Polynesians you see do really well in culture, in pop culture is like the athletes, or so to see, for me, when I see Polynesians exceeding in other industries or industries that we don't really see a lot of representation in, that really excites me, and that's something I want to push, because like for me, I don't know about you, but I see so much talent every single day. I meet intellectual Polynesians, people, we have all these unique talent and gifts all the time, and not only just my own Polynesian friends, but also my other friends in the other ethnic cultures. but they're just so afraid to take that next step. So I feel like that's really important for anybody. When we see other Polynesian or people within our own community or our own race, we should always uplift it and empower them, because the more we see people up there, I feel like for me, when I see somebody doing really well with that within my culture, that for me is like, it always gives me inspiration. Oh, if they can do it, I can do it. Right. And then for me, and then that further encourages me to keep going. But I know sometimes our community can be very judgmental, very critical. When it comes to Polynesians elevating and being different, when it comes to their life challenge, their choices in life. I guess what the thing I want to ask you, because I always, this is just for the people out there that want to have a goal and dream, they want to pursue something, they're trying to find the fulfillment in life. I want to ask you is, one thing you did say, and I know you said it so fast, but people don't realize how important that is. There was you said a lot of uncertainty that you went through in your life. And I feel like that's one of the hardest things for anybody to take that next step. And like, I think you said it best, like you have to take a leap of faith to go into it. And which is what, working towards your dreams is. You have to take a leap of faith, believing that it's going to work out, even though you've never been in that. You're taking a path you've never taken before. So
faith is believing without seeing.
Yeah.
You have to believe it.
Yep. So can I ask you, what was the thing that made you keep going regardless of how uncertain things were? And you talked about, I already talked about how you signed a lease. You signed
I was like, I'm too into it now because I had already invested in the course. I know. I was like, I have to see this through. I have to.
But looking back at it now, like what was like the driving factor of your faith? I'm just interested to hear that from you. I feel like a lot of people need to hear it, but I just want to ask you, like, just looking back at it, like what was the inspiration for you to keep going? What was your why? What was your fire? What drove you? Even though things were uncertain, even though things wasn't looking pretty and things weren't working out, but you just kept going. So what was that? What was the engine behind all of that?
My overall why has always been my parents. My mom, like I said, she's worked in HR, like collections, pretty much her whole life, like getting cussed out on the phone because people not paying their bills. And then my dad has done manual labor, warehouse. My dad has been in the warehouse my whole life. So when I'm looking at my business and I'm looking at like, I can make some serious money, not only for myself, but I can set my family up for success too. It just motivates me, and it's just like, just the amount of work and how hard my parents work. My ultimate goal is to pay them back. Right now it'll be 3 years for me in April. And so I've grown so much. And now I'm in a position to where I can give, I can not only take care, but I haven't taken care of myself through the first, when I first started, but now it's like in abundance, where it's just like, I can give back. But I think it's just me personally, I'm a stubborn person and I do everything to prove things to myself, and it's just like, when I was younger, my dad always told me there's always something that needs to get done. So I try my best never to allow myself to get lazy, to get comfortable, to be complacent, to feel sorry for myself, because there's always something that needs to be done. So in my business, when I face those challenges, I'm like, okay, this is not working out. Well, it's time to do something different, because don't forget your why. When I started, I had that small seed of faith. And just because you step out on something with faith doesn't mean that it's going to go the way you want it. You can make 100-step plan. It still might not work out the way you want it. But I just have that mentality that I'm used to not getting things right on the first time. But if I try, I'll see the results. So.
Yeah, I love what you said, like abundance, right? And that's the thing. Like I always tell people, because that's part of my reason why I want to be successful. It's not really for me. It's just the challenge. I want to do something that people have never told me. Or I believe, I don't care what people say, but just for me, achieving something that I thought that could never be done before, but just to manifest that gives me so much like excitement and joy. But also for my family, I grew up in Tonga, a family in the struggle. So, and this is one thing I know a lot of times, depending on your family dynamics, I know sometimes it's tough, right? Like you have a job, you have kids, you have a family, you have bills to pay.
Right.
You know, your parents rely on you as a kid to support them, and it can be really, really tough to find time to do what you need to do to build your dream. But you know, as tough as it may be, it is possible. But you have to put the work in, like you said, you have to put the work in, right?
Yes.
But this is what I always tell people all the time. Oh, this is why I always tell people all the time. It's like it's the when you just always strive for it, because if like I said, like you said, it's not always going to work out, you know, in life, and this is life. But think about, you know, if it does happen, the abundance you want to give back to your family.
Yes.
You know, and for me, it's like I grew up in poverty, so I know what poverty feels like. I know what not having food and being hungry feels like, and as tough as difficult my passion, my dream can be, the way I see it is, look, if I make it, like my family's gonna make it too. I succeed, my family's gonna succeed. I eat, they're gonna eat.
Everybody
if I eat good, exactly.
Yeah.
If I eat good, we're all eating good. And that drives me. And for me, it's like the risk, because I feel like that's all about the mentality of entrepreneurs. Like we feel like the reward is greater than the risk that we're gonna take. As hard as difficult that risk may be, but we don't focus on the risk of what we focus on the compliment, the worth. You know, it's worth it at the end of the day. All right. And that's why I just want to preach out there for everybody watching. And I know, like, you know, when you achieve your dreams and goals, like, it's not only gonna be fulfilling for yourself, but just think about like all the people that you're gonna impact and the people, how you're gonna take care of all the people you love. So at the end of the day, it will be worth it. But the thing is, if it doesn't work, look, this is what I see. If it doesn't work out, I know my family's still gonna be poor.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Right. You at least want to try to better your chances.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, but if I don't do anything, my family's gonna be poor. If I don't try, my family's gonna be poor. So might as well try it. And if it doesn't work out, my family's still gonna be poor. But if it does work out, hey, you know, I mean, that's just the way I see it. And that's why I'm not afraid of like just trying things and just going out there and reach for the stars. Because I always think, you know, if I'm good, then I can always give back. But the thing is, like, I can't if I don't
pour it from an empty cup.
Exactly. So I love what you shared about that, about the abundance factor, and also, like, you know, for you, I want to ask you is, did you go through any? Can you talk about like the setbacks, the criticism, the judgments that you went through? I'm sure there's a lot of criticism, a lot of negativity. People, there's always the part of the path in life that we go through. Whenever you do something different, whenever you try to take a different path, do something that has never been done before within your own culture or family or community, there's always going to be non-believers and doubters and haters. Always. Right. But so can you talk about that? You know, just for everybody out there that's listening, you know, all the difficult things that you went through, and people out in the negativity that you went through, but you still figuring out a way to overcome that and progress in your life.
When I first started, it was in anything you do, but especially with microblading, they teach you that you're there to learn the skill. You're not there to master it. So it's on you to perfect your craft and, you know, to succeed. So it was very intimidating, especially when I'm hashtagging, you know, looking at other people. And I've had to wire my brain to, when I look at things on the internet, to look at it for inspiration and not to compare myself, because I'm a perfectionist too. And if you hold on to your work, like, okay, I'm not going to post this picture because like, I could have did this better. It's like, people are waiting for you to put that out, you know, and to show that, and your perfectionism is just gonna hinder you, you know? So I would just always, I would do someone's eyebrows and I would look at it and be like, maybe I could have did this, or maybe I could have did that. And I would show my friends or my family to be like, that's great. Like, you need to post that, you know? So just trying to, you have to try new things. Like you have to be an amateur before you can be an expert, you know? So you just kind of got to get over that, kind of rewire your brain. I used to have people like, I still have people DM me or email me and say, why do you charge so much? And I delete those messages because I tweeted this the other day. I'm not interested in, you know, decreasing the value of my artistry or my time to fit someone else's budget. And you just have to sit there and realize that you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And that this is America. If you don't like something, you can shop somewhere else, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like we have Walgreens and CVS. They're like the same thing, but they're different, you know? So like, you don't like the other, go to, you know, same thing with restaurants. There's a plethora of options, and you're not always going to be someone's first option. Even your friends and family are not even going to completely understand what you're doing or your vision, but it's not for them to understand because it's not their vision. Like God didn't give them your vision. He didn't give them the tools and the sight to see it through. So you have to stay that course of action. You have to be consistent. And if you try something, you owe it to yourself to see it through. And if you don't, then just pivot and try something new, or just alter your plan a little bit. You don't have to just like, oh my gosh, I've been promoting myself consistently for 30 days and no one has noticed me. Like the 31st day, you might blow up and go viral, but you just gave up, you know? So just be consistent and don't listen to the haters.
Yeah, I like that. I want to ask you, I don't know if you want to answer it. The people that said you charged too much, was it a lot of family in that DM?
No, not even my family, because for the most part, I got on my family, my family here for free because I needed pictures for a portfolio. But it's just like random people that will find you on social media and just be like, I saw that someone else charges this, like, can you price match it? But I don't respond because I feel like with social media, people can screenshot what you say and they can interpret it the way that they want to, or whoever's reading it can take it out of context. So I never try to set myself up in a position to where my words can be,
misconstrued. Yeah. So I want to ask you just something that I always tell people, and if you want to speak it on it. And I love what you say. You don't lower your price because I guess you have to believe in your work. You have to believe your worth and your value. You can't let people dictate. I think my mentor always said, you can't let people dictate your worth and value, but it's always good to see what the market says. The market will tell you, depending on your quality of work, but don't ever let an opinion, right? You have to be smart of your price and the audience and the customers that you're trying to sell to give them the best product, the best quality of work, and the best price on the market. But don't price yourself on somebody's opinion.
Right.
Right. So, but we do want to talk about separating family. I feel like this is something that's really, really important, especially for Polynesians, where we're very family oriented. When I just started a business a couple of weeks ago, I just partnered up with a partner and we started up this business back in Sacramento where we make Tongan food.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have a big business partner that I partnered with a long time, a family member. But I remember when we started, I told her that we had to make sure that this is business and separate business from family. So I want to ask you any advice, everybody out there, why it's so important to separate family from your professional life and make sure because if you try to mix them both, it sometimes it's a failure waiting to happen. If you want to talk about that.
Well, even if they weren't your family, I feel like you need a work-life balance. And so sometimes when they are your family, you're seeing them more. So you're talking about it more. Yeah, you may be off the clock, but you're still like, okay, well, tomorrow we have to do this and this and that. And so you need to balance that. I think it's good for your mental health too, and for the relationship.
No, I'm sorry. What I meant was like not giving family members discounts because they're family. Like,
you just gotta tell them. You just gotta let them know straight up. Like, we're not.
Does that happen a lot to you? Like family members, hey man, I'm a family member. I'm a discount. Can you give me that discount?
No, I've never had a family member ask me for a discount. But I have given family members discount, but they won't accept it. They'll still be like, no, I'm still gonna send you this, or I'm gonna send you a tip, blah blah blah. But I've never had family like take advantage or anything like that.
Oh, cool. You got a good family. And that's something that I always tell people, if you have a business, you got to run it like a business and separate that from family members. And the fact for me it's like when somebody it's kind of like disrespectful when somebody said, hey, give me a discount, because you're disregarding the work you have to put in to offer that product. You know, and for me, whenever I see, well, for me, when I see somebody doing business, I always want to pay them the full price because, well, I understand how much work it takes to run a business.
Right.
But I always see people say, hey, you should offer a discount. And they get, you know, they get mad for not offering a discount. I was like, you don't see the work behind these products,
the work,
this business,
the time.
Yeah, that these the lease on this on the space, it's not going to pay itself.
Exactly.
So for me, it's like if you truly support somebody, like you should always pay them the full price of the product itself. The fact that you don't want to pay the full price is like kind of disrespectful of the work that they actually built behind behind their business. I want to I guess the next thing I want to ask you is I guess when it comes to your personal experience from meeting a lot of people, because I really feel like entrepreneurship and just personal growth and being successful always starts with your mindset. And just basically, if you've been watching this podcast for this whole time, you can just clearly tell that her mind is on a different level, which is great and a beautiful thing. But I truly believe that. It's like that's why I tell people all the time. I tell people all the time, like especially my younger siblings and cousins, like, look, success is not a person, it's not a talent, it's not a gift. Anybody can do it because it's just a mindset you gotta have in a certain level of faith and belief and work ethic and discipline. And willing to do things that most people are not willing to do. That's why anybody can do it. That's why one of my favorite quotes, I'm sure you've heard it, how work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Right.
And I always tell people, you don't need, like, because sometimes, like you said, the social media, right? We have social media, a lot of people fall into that comparison, right? They see all these successful people looking over, talking a certain way. They have all these resources and money, and they compare themselves to them. But the problem with that is you're comparing yourself to somebody that's 5-10 years into the game, and that's the finish line. You didn't see them in the beginning of the race where they had nothing and they weren't talking that way. They didn't perfect their skills. So the problem with social media is we only see the highlights, but we don't see the grind in the process.
You don't see the sweat and the tears and the mental breakdown.
Exactly. So can you just talk about mindset? How important that is? What do you do to feed that mind, to feed that positivity, to feed that mental toughness within themselves, constantly improve themselves, and also just based on today's culture, what you see with the younger people, more younger generation, what do they lack mentally that's stopping them from growth, from kind of taking that next step?
I think now with social media and the way that things move, they see that something works for someone else and it works fast, and you think that you can do it just as fast or faster. And instead of, I think the best advice I can give to someone is fall in love with the process and not the end point. Because when you fall in love with the end point, you might have an idea in your mind that, oh, this is a 3-step process. And then you do the 3 steps and you're like, I'm not there yet. But had you just fell in love with the process, you'd be like, oh, okay, this messed up, but let me just keep doing this. Let me keep doing that. Because when hard work is a lifestyle for you, you'll get to that end point, but you're just so worried about getting there so fast because you saw such and such has a magazine cover, such and such just hit 1 million followers, such and such just hit 6 figures. You're comparing yourself to these other people, but you're falling in love with their little Instagram square. You don't know how fast they got there. You don't know if they have an assistant, 10 employees, all these other resources. So just fall in love with the process and just take whatever happens, just go with it, and don't get discouraged if your plan isn't a 1, 2, 3. It might not be overnight for you. It just might not. I think that's what you said about the younger generation. I think, a lot of people just want to get there fast. What was the first question?
Yeah, can you talk about just what do you do to improve? Your mindset, and what do you do to constantly improve your mindset, constantly feed your mindset? Because I always tell people at the time, no one's born with this mindset, right? You weren't born and you just had this mindset you have right now. It's
right.
like you said, process, right? You literally just talked about all the experiences that you went through that formed your mindset, right? So, can you just talk about what do you do personally for yourself to constantly feed your mindset and to constantly improve your mindset?
One, I'm always looking for like sources of inspiration, and I plan. Like I'm a planner. This is my notebook. I take my notebook everywhere because and I write everything down, because some days I feel 100% and I can do 100 things. Some days I might be feeling a little 30%, but I have my notebook, so I can revert back to my notebook and say, okay, you don't have the energy to do 100 things today, but let's go ahead and do 2. So that way I'm constantly making progress instead of sitting there and feeling sorry for myself. Because for me, I hate feeling stagnant, and I'll sit, I just can't. So it's I have to always be working towards something, whether it's 1 step a day or whether it's 10. And that's what keeps me moving. I feel like that's my mindset.
I want to ask you, what's your advice to people that feel that always negative, feeling sorry for themselves? What do you advise them to do to get out that mindset?
I feel like people like that, sometimes they're always asking for permission. They have an idea and they call their friend like, hey girl, I just thought of this idea. And the friend is just like, someone's already doing that. Or that's kind of like, you sure that's you? Because I never heard this idea before. And so you're constantly looking for someone else to co-sign on your idea, or to make you feel good about something that you don't even really know that you have the potential or the capacity to do. You just want someone to be on your team.
Yeah, validate yourself. Right?
You just gotta figure out something that you want to do and stop talking about it. Stop asking people for permission and just do it. And if it doesn't work out, when someone calls you, don't be embarrassed. Like, oh, I heard you dropped out of school. Okay, all right. Well, I'm doing something different. Like, just stop asking for people for permission. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. You're just gonna have to do it.
No, that's
this is what I always tell my parents. Like when we talk about stuff, or even my siblings and stuff too. For me, I always say I can't feel sorry for anyone else because I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't have time to feel sorry for myself.
Oh, I love that's fire right there. I got the fire quotes.
Yes, I always tell my siblings that I cannot feel sorry for you because I don't even have time to feel sorry for myself.
I think what I say, I think I learned this from my mentor. Like, I'm not going to show you sympathy and feel sorry for you, but I will show you empathy, and because I always try to put myself in your position, but I'm not going to feel sorry for you and show you sympathy. So if you're looking for sympathy for me, no, but we'll empathize for you.
We can empathize. I'm like, that's a sad story.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, bro, that sucks. I'm like, that sucks. So what you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna do it. Look, that's your issue, your problem. You have to figure it out.
Right.
So if you're looking for me for sympathy, like, you're the wrong person. But if you're looking for empathy and advice, things you need advice from me to give you advice and put you out of a situation, I'll give you that advice. I'll help you. But as far as it doesn't work, that's something you gotta do on your own. You gotta put that work in. So
that's like in the military too. If you have a problem with something and you want to voice a problem, you better have a solution too. So we can take that into consideration. So don't to me with the problem if you haven't thought of a solution yourself.
I know. I remember my last job, I had a really good boss. He was one of my mentors. And then every single time I came up to him to discuss something or something I had a problem with, that's the first thing he'll always say. Oh, yeah, if you're going to come with me with a problem, make sure you come with a solution. Don't come to me. Look, I have my own problem. I don't have time to fix your problem. So come with me with a solution, and we can just say, if you don't have a solution to your problem, I'm not having a meeting with you. So that always, like, I guess, reconditioned my mindset. When I'm going with the problem, I need to figure out a solution and not waste time like blaming and complaining and pointing fingers. I got to figure out a solution, because at the end of the day, solutions the only thing that matters in success to progress to get where you want to be. At the end of the day, I do want to talk about a couple of things, a couple of topics. I know you wanted to definitely want to.
Can I grab my charger, because my phone is like.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay,
go
1
ahead.
second.
You all good. You are good.
I'll play with you later.
It's all good. Sorry for the wait, y'all. It's all good. Don't worry. When you see this, y'all, if you're watching this, I'm just telling everybody, if you guys see this part, just fast forward.
Yeah.
Just click in the next 20 seconds.
Okay, it's charging.
Nice.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I guess I do want to focus on the topics that we discussed early in the podcast. I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you for sharing your life story. We got a chance.
Yes, thank you for asking.
You got a chance to peek into her life and just see the experiences you went through. You said a lot of great stuff, so I just want to say thank you so much. for sharing your life story with us in the audience. But I do want to talk about certain topics that we're going to dive into. So the first one we're going to talk about is being uncomfortable. I know that's a term we often see and hear when it comes to personal growth, success, progression, being, get outside your comfort zone, be comfortable, being uncomfortable. And so many quotes that ties into it. So I know you have a very specific opinion about that. So can you talk about it, express that to everybody and share that with everybody?
Well, I feel like it's now it's like such a cliche thing to say, but no one ever really talks about what uncomfortable means. Like for me, like you're not gonna always wake up motivated. People say that too. Like sometimes you might wake up and feel ugly. Like you might look in the mirror and be like, why do I look like this today? Like, I don't know if I could leave the house. Like sometimes you wake up and you feel insecure. Sometimes you wake up and you feel uninspired. Or sometimes you're just hard on yourself, or the whole comparison thing. Sometimes money's not coming in. I know for me, what I do is not guaranteed. I don't get paid every 2 weeks. I get paid from working with my hands. If a client cancels or they reschedules, that's money out of the budget. So I literally have to save and prepare for worst case scenario, different things like that. So it's still a level of uncertainty for that. So that makes me uncomfortable sometimes. Starting my business, when I talked about earlier, that uncertainty, not having the funds on hand, or sometimes you might have to go get an extra credit card. Sometimes you might have to push a bill back or whatever. Like it's just like once you're so deep into it, it's so many different things are going to make you feel uncomfortable. So many different things are going to make you want to stop. Not having personal time, I struggled with, at first I didn't know how to separate my personal life from my business life, or, am I spending enough time with my family? Am I prioritizing the right things in my life? Just so many different things made me feel uncomfortable, and so that whole discomfort thing, I don't think it's just a short period. I think you'll go through it, you'll get over it, and you'll continuously go through it. But that doesn't mean that you're still not progressing. I just think discomfort is something that, especially when you're a perfectionist, is something that I think you'll always experience throughout your journey, no matter what level you're at.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, by the way, because I know because social media, they always talk about it, be uncomfortable, put in the work, put in the grind, and that's something I've always heard growing up, especially from my mentors used to teach me. But based on my own journey and what I realized, I think one thing, like, because if you listen to a lot of like motivational speeches, it's always talk about it sounds like they're telling you to overwork yourself, and I really believe in balance. If you can handle like a 16 to 17 hour day and 3 hours sleep, and you operate in a healthy way, in a healthy manner.
Good. Good for you.
Hey, good for you, right, dude? That's how you operate. But that doesn't mean that's gonna work for everybody. And I feel like that's the thing that, like I think you said, like success and personality and self-identity. It's just developing of doing it, figure out your own self, and not fitting everybody in one single box. And a lot of times, because of the social media and what we see, and everybody just, and of course, just, put out there. I mean, just so many life coaches out there. Everybody's a life coach now. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I see people, they're a life coach, and I look, I see their body of work. I was like, how did you become a life coach? But anyway,
right.
And they haven't even started a business yet, but they're a business entrepreneur coach on social media, but they haven't.
You can be whoever you want to be on social media, honestly.
Exactly. So, I feel like this when it comes to what's that word? Uncomfortability. It's just, I think it just means like try new things, right? Don't, like you said, don't be stagnant. I think that's the main thing. Don't be stagnant. Try new things. Put yourself in situations to learn new things, growth, but do it on your own, in your own way, in a way that balances, that works out for you.
Right.
I'll share one thing. One thing I used to hear growing up, not only from my parents, is work ethic. Work ethic, hard work. I used to have the previous job I used to work with. My sales leaders, they were really hardcore Middle Eastern people, so they used to like work hard, grind. So I used to feel, I felt like that if I, the less I don't work, I'm gonna be it's a less chance of being unsuccessful. And a lot of times what I see a lot of people is if you don't take care of yourself and balance it out, you're going to burn up. You're going to burn yourself, because at the end of the day, success is a long journey. It's not a short-term game, which a lot of people try to seek today. It is a long-term game. And the
you want to be productive, not busy, because busy. There's a lot of busy people, but they may not be productive.
Exactly. So I used to think, okay, I used to be that person try to get like only 3 hours of sleep and then wake up and go work. And I did burn out eventually. And then one of the people I listen to right now, his name is Gary Vee. I don't know if have you heard of Gary Vee?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's somebody I follow online, and one thing he always said, be productive. That's the most important thing. It's not about how many hours you work; it's how much production you got out of it. What did you produce? So if you say, like, if you want to sleep 3 hours, that's cool, but make sure you're productive. There's no point of sleeping 3 hours and wake up 21 hours and you did nothing.
Right. You scrolling on social media.
Exactly, and out of that 21 hours, you probably was only productive like 4 hours. Out of that 21 hours, you will break. So he always says, so for me, like, if there's some days I want to get up and be productive, I sleep like 3-4 hours, but there's some days I'll sleep like 8, 9 or 10 hours. But then when I do wake up, I go hard, the rest of the day, and I make sure I'm productive. So, and that's something I feel like that I just wanted to share with everybody. Don't think that, because now we live in a culture where their way of defining uncomfortability is like burning yourself out, overworking yourself, and then people paint that picture. Oh my God, if I don't put in the extra work, if I don't work hard, if I don't use like every single day of my life, then I'm not putting myself in the best position to win. No, it's a long journey. It's gonna happen. Just balance yourself out, make productive decisions, make good decisions for yourself, but just make sure that you're always growing and being productive and not just being busy, like you said, being busy.
I think with social media too is sometimes people want to look like they have it together. And I always say this too, like, how your life feels is more important than how it looks, because you don't just want to look like you're doing all this stuff, but inside you're like, oh, I feel like a loser. You go to sleep feeling like a loser every night, but then you hop on social media and you have this personality like, oh, I'm so great, I'm so successful. What is that doing for you? What is that doing for you? Like, focus on how your life feels.
I know, and that's everybody. I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people like that. And also, I'm not gonna lie, I remember when I first started my content creating journey, there were times where I saw myself on social media. I was like, man, I look happy on social media, but I wasn't. And then I really had to take a step back. And then now I made a promise to myself, like, if I'm not happy, I'm not posting.
Right.
That I made that promise to myself. If I'm not happy, I'm not posting, and I'm not gonna post if I'm not happy. So I gave myself that space. Hey, if I need to take a break, it's cool.
Take it,
take that break. But I remember just, I guess because I was just insecure, and I was just I cared more what people thought about me more than I thought about myself. And then I see that a lot of days where people are posting, and then they care more about the likes, they care more about the recognition, the clout, more than their own personal life. Their own happiness in real life. So that's, I like that. What was that? I can't remember what you said. Did you say?
Oh, how your life feels is more important than how it looks.
How your life feels. I feel like you better get your own like quote, quotes and pictures and make your own quotes.
That, and I was like, oh, that would be another page to manage. I was like, oh, the anxiety.
How your life feels is more important than how it looks. I feel like that's your own original quote, right? You should make like a picture of yourself, and then have that quote. They have a quote, right? That's your original quote. All right, so thank you for this. Thank you for talking about uncomfortability. But also, can we talk about sacrifices? The sacrifice that you need to make to be successful, and then go ahead.
Well, maybe. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was interested. I know you talked about the sacrifice a little bit more. But can you just kind of go deeper into it? The sacrifices that most people are not wanting to make. I guess that's what I want to, because I feel like entrepreneurship, as much as I know a lot of people looking at your life right now, right? And then, oh my God, that's nice. But they don't realize, like, there's a price to be paid to live this life.
It's a big one. Yes.
So can you just talk about that?
I feel like when I graduated high school, I sacrificed my college experience. I didn't get the whole dorm room, the party thing and all that when I joined the Army. In the Army, I separated myself from people my own age because I wanted higher levels of responsibility. So sacrificing that fun time, that being in the club, and it's, you know, being a young teenager, you know, my 20s. When I got out, I was 22. And I started going to school, and then I started my business, still sacrificing, you know. So I guess I didn't really engage in normal 20-year-old things, but I'm not really much of a party person anyways. But time is the biggest thing, is just the amount of time that I put into my job. Even now, you know, when I'm off work, I'm still at home working. You know, if I'm on my phone, I'm doing something social media related, but it's going to benefit my business. I'm either creating content, posting on my eyebrow page, interacting with comments or DMs, answering emails. It's always something that needs to be done. And so I just feel like, because I love what I do, sometimes it doesn't really feel like work. But if I were to actually look at all the time that I put in, someone would be like, oh, that's a lot. Like, why are you always working? You know, money too, is learning how to say no to myself, saying, you know, maybe you don't need your nails done every 2 weeks. Maybe you don't need to buy this. I know last year, because I love shopping. I love shopping so much. I love sneakers too. And so I converted my wardrobe into something that's more interchangeable, because I was literally that person where I'm like, every weekend I need to buy a new outfit. I need to buy a new outfit for my Instagram so I can be cute on the gram. If I want to buy sneakers, I want to buy sneakers 2-3 pairs at a time. And then I learned, I'm just like, you could be saving this money, you could be putting it into your business. You need these things are not important. So I went to like a more interchangeable wardrobe, to where I'm like, Celina, you can wear the same thing multiple times. I'm like, who are you? You know, but when you first get money, sometimes you don't make the best decisions. So I'm really big on just like analyzing my habits, why I do things, when I do them, and how I can be more cautious with my time, how I can be more cautious with my money and my energy too. Not everything needs a reaction. Like, I don't get upset as I used to. I don't cause unnecessary fights in my relationship, or just I just look at things so much differently. Because if I'm taking away that time, that money, and that energy is something that I can put into my business. And when my business excels, I feel like I excel. And when I excel, I can bless my parents, and that leads to my ultimate why. So it's not just one area of my life that I have to work on. I have to work on all of them at the same time.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing it, by the way, because I feel like that's something that needs to be said for everybody out there that's listening. Like, you have to invest and put in time into things that you want in your life.
Yes.
And a lot of times, like you said, in the military, a lot of lazy people in the military, a lot of no work ethic. That's the same thing for life. Like, most people, and like you said, the best in this culture, like because we grew up in this instant gratification culture, everything's fast food, fast internet, fast delivery, fast everything. Mm-hmm. We fall in love with that concept that everything needs to be fast. So right. we're looking for the shortcuts. But the thing is, there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut.
I'm gonna see if I can. I'm listening to you, but my mom sent me. Oh, here, I can show you right here.
Okay.
She sent me this on my phone. Can you see it?
Yes, the 2 letters.
It says the importance of small steps, and these are little steps in this ladder, and the guy is all the way at the top. And this is a guy, he's at the bottom of the ladder, but the steps are so big. And so it's just the importance of small steps. You're gonna get there.
Yeah, just small progressive steps every single day. And I guess what you can take away from the what you said about everything about personal sacrifice, I believe it's just you have to play the long-term game. You have to play the long-term game. And today, everybody's chasing the short-term game. Everybody's trying to play the short-term game. So like, everything you do, everything you have to invest, like you say, everything you invest into in your business, what you get out of it is your goal. So everything you invest to your goal. And for me, I'm at this point right now. Whenever I make a decision, right, I always have to ask myself, is this a long-term decision? It was a short-term decision. And I always try to make decisions that's going to help me long-term. Right. If I know I'm making a decision because I want the instant result now, I want the gratification now. When it comes to buying, like you said, buying things, I'm like, you know what? I should take that money and put it into somewhere else. So I have to catch myself. You know, when I was younger, I never did that. You know, I just you just live in the moment, and we make a lot
of. I can buy this. I couldn't get this for myself before, and then you're like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. So we make a lot of short-term decisions and but that's something I just learned in life, that everything I invest when it comes to work and when it comes to sacrifices, if you make a majority of your decisions in life investing into your future, whatever it is that you do, what you said, time, energy, space, passion, and a work ethic, whatever, if you invest more into the long-term game, you have a better chance of succeeding, and you want to get there a lot faster than people just trying to make those big sacrifices, big steps, instead of just taking those small steps that we that was fire, by the way.
The little ladders.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
She sent that to me a few days ago. I just saved it.
I guess the last thing we want to talk about is the importance of consistency, of being consistent in people, and that's one of my favorite words in life. Consistent, because that applies to everything we do in life. If you're not consistent, it doesn't matter what you do, nothing's gonna happen. But can you just talk about that, share your experience and your thoughts about consistency?
I just feel like, I feel like consistency just ties into pretty much like everything that we've talked about. But once you're on the path, it's just like, well, for me, I just feel like I'm so deep into it. Like there's no way that I can leave, and I feel like I wouldn't have gotten here if I'm like, okay, well, my eyebrow post only got 3 likes. It's just like, you can't let numbers and things like that kind of deter you or hinder you from your progress, because someone out there might think you're like the best thing yet, and I look at my work from before and me practicing and trying to perfect my craft. I look at my engagement from how it was before to where it is now. I see that it's growing. And I look at my overall growth in my business, just me constantly trying to grow and grow and grow. Before I started with a suite, it was 104 square feet and I was paying $1,000 a month. And then I started working in a suite that was like 140 square feet. That was like $1,200 a month. And that made me feel uncomfortable because I'm just like, oh, okay, let me do the math. And then at some point I was just like, you know what? I've always wanted my own salon. But because I took that first step, that made me feel uncomfortable and I signed that contract. Then I took my next step that made me feel a little uncomfortable. And then now I have my very own salon. It's 1,200 square feet. Now I have 4 rooms, but had I not been consistent, then I would never have what I have now. Not even a chance.
Yeah. So I guess one of my favorite quotes when it comes to consistency, one of my mentors always used to tell me was like, it's not a race, it's a marathon when it comes to success. Like you say, it's just small steps, consistency, and that's something that I guess every entrepreneur, every person you have to learn in your life is that discipline. Then I just had a quote that came into my mind talking about discipline, like, without discipline, I'm sorry, I had it and then it just.
Yeah, I do that too sometimes.
Yeah, but it's, I have never met anybody in my life ever that was successful at anything, that was great at anything without some type of discipline, consistency, and work ethic. Yes. I have never met a lazy entrepreneur, a real, not the Instagram entrepreneur. I'm talking about
the real ones.
I'm talking about a real, start from nothing, start from the bottom, self-made success story entrepreneur. I have never met any successful person, any successful entrepreneur, whatever industry it is, whatever path in life there is, without some type of discipline and work ethic and sacrifice. So, and that's something you have to learn. And I guess one thing I just want to add to that, what you said, which is all powerful, like you said. I always want to be consistent in everything I do. I guess one of my favorite quotes is I learned from my mentor was, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Right. And whatever I do, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be talking to my family member. It can be just cleaning the dishes, washing, the chores around my apartment. I always try to make sure it's consistent because it's a habit. Because once I start slacking on one area of my life, I'm gonna start slacking in another area of my life. Go ahead.
I hate people that cut corners. And when I was in the military, I told my soldiers, I said, the best way, if you want to get promoted or you want to get someone else's attention, if you see that nobody wants to sweep or mop the company every day, Make it your mission to do everything that nobody wants to do, because that's going to set you apart. And don't half-ass it. Like I hate people that half-ass things. If you're going to clean it like it's your own. Treat everything like it's your own. If you're working on a project for someone else, treat it like it's your own. If you're mowing the grass for someone else, mow it like it's your house, you know?
Yes.
So I like this.
That's one of my, because one thing I realized, when I start slacking in one area, it always trickles into my other areas of my life. So I always make it like a habit. Like whatever I do, and like doesn't matter what it is, I always want to make sure I'm consistent in it. So because I want to make sure everything I do is consistent, and because I do realize it's all about consistency. If you don't put in the work every single day, like you said, that ladder, if you don't take those progressive steps every single day, are you moving closer to your goal? Or you take a step back? And the people that do really well in life and actually get there faster than most people they're not the most intelligent people. They're not the most gifted people. They're not the most talented people. They're just the most consistent people. All right. So thank you for sharing that. I guess the very last question I want to ask you before we end this, I feel like this is really, really important, especially for the women out there. Is attracting the right partner. If you have a goal and dream, you want to be an entrepreneur, how important it is to attract the right partner into your life? Because I feel like, dating, we're human beings. We want to date. We want to find love. We want to attract the right person. But I always tell people, you have to attract the right person for your goals and dreams. And that having the wrong partner can definitely impact whether, can kind of hinder you sometimes. And I see this a lot. We have people with very ambitious dreams and goals and dreams, but they just with the wrong person. So I feel like that it's really important to attract the right person to support your goals and dreams that fits for what you're trying to do. And also just another question I want to ask you is, was it hard? Because you're an independent, strong woman. Like, was it hard? Did men get intimidated to approach you? Because I had a conversation with a lot of girls that are entrepreneurs. I know a lot of girls right now are entrepreneurs, and that's the thing they always tell me. All these guys are intimidated to approach them because they see they have a business, they're successful, they have some, they're really strong, and a lot of guys are just shy away from that. And it's something they talk about all the time. So those are two things I just want to ask you to end off the podcast.
I won't give too much credit to the past, but I was involved with someone who wanted a stay-at-home wife. You're pretty, you stay at home, you cook, you clean, you have kids. That's never been me. I have always said that marriage and kids will be an addition to my life. It will not be my life. If I become a wife or a mother, that will not be my identity. That will be a part of me. So I was involved with someone who didn't want me to go to school, didn't want me to, have my own success, and I walked away from that situation. But I think I haven't met anyone that was, I guess, like intimidated. But I think when you do get involved with someone, they don't necessarily have to be exactly like you. I do think you should be equally yoked, because you want someone to understand you and compliment you. So I don't think entrepreneurs necessarily have to be with an entrepreneur, but if you're with someone who is not, then they should be your number one fan, your cheerleader. Hey, what can I do to make things easier on you? How can I, help and support you? Or if you are entrepreneurs, you can still support each other. It's still that work-life balance, but you don't want to be with someone who doesn't want you to do what you're doing. You don't want to be with someone who is jealous of you. You don't want to be with someone who's intimidated or is competing with you. Especially like, okay, let's say you are two entrepreneurs. That person has a platform. This person has a platform. You don't want to be like competing with each other. Or I just feel like your relationship and your partner should complement you. They should support you, and they should uplift you. What you do in your business and how much time you put into it, the other person just has to understand. Because one person might have, a regular job. They have to be up, like clockwork. The other person, they may be more flexible. One might go to sleep early, one might stay up late. Those are just different things that you have to communicate and understand and work around. But the main thing is just understanding and having that person's support.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I know that's something I always hear from, and I see a lot of entrepreneurs and friends of mine that trying to do things for their own life. They always, it's they grew. Their mindset grew, and as far as like their mental intelligence and strength, but their emotional intelligence never grew. It's still the same as the high school years. So they still, you know, yeah,
dangerous.
So that's why I always believe, like, but yeah, I always see a lot of people, and now they have somebody they want to be with, but then they're not aligned with what they're trying to do. And I always want to encourage them, look, you gotta do what's best for you. And then there's always somebody out there. I think sometimes people fall into the moment or have like the scarcity mindset. Oh, if I don't be with this person, then I'll never be with somebody. Now there's always somebody out there for you that's gonna appreciate and be aligned and support what you do. And I feel like that's important. Right. And I'm sure you have a lot of entrepreneur friends. Do you have a lot of friends or they're entrepreneurs and they talk about men being intimidated because they're entrepreneurs and they're successful women?
No, well, I just recently now that I've been an entrepreneur, I have more entrepreneur friends. But I'm an introvert, so it took me. That's another thing with that whole uncomfortable thing. It took me a minute to like network and meet people, because if I were to tell my parents like, oh, I'm about to go hang out with this girl that I met on Instagram, they're gonna think that someone's gonna kidnap me or sex traffic. So I've been more open to networking with other girls and meeting them. And a lot of the friends that I have now in Texas, I've met from social media. But they're all in relationships or married, have kids.
Okay. So. Yeah. No, it's always I always hear that from a lot of my friends, and they're who are successful in their own right. And I also, for guys, I wanted to say, guys out there, you guys should, go for these girls who are entrepreneurs. They got their life together. They have a job. They know what they want in their life. For me, it's just much more simple than trying to find somebody. And I'm not saying that those girls are bad. I'm just saying it's my personal opinion. It's much easier for me to date somebody that knows what they want out of life, and let's build something and make it happen. And than dating somebody that has no idea what they want and trying to.
Yes, because then that adds stress to your life. You feel like you're in charge of their success.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just want to put it out there. Don't be intimidated. And men, and just for all the men out there, my personal conversation with these women, like, they don't care what your job is. They don't literally. I've talked to a lot of successful women. They literally don't care what your job. They don't care. They don't care what you do. They just want a supporting man to be there with them, and support them. But I know sometimes social media we tend to be insecure. We see this perception of who they are in real on social media, but that's not who they really are in real life. So I just want to encourage all the guys out there. Yeah, just
shoot your shot. Yeah,
shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. Don't be intimidated. But I guess I just want to say we've come to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. We had some great conversations. You shared a great opportunity to share your life, and I know you definitely said a lot of great things. Definitely impact a lot of people today. And me personally, I learned a lot today. And you said some fire quotes, by the way. You definitely need to.
Thank you.
You gotta get those quotes and make some quotes and post it. That's your personal brand quote. That's the quote that's tied to your brand. So you definitely need to do that. And thank you for being uncomfortable by sharing your life story. A lot of people don't realize how hard it is to just come on here and open up yourself to a random person, and share your life story. But the fact they did it today with me, and not only for me, but for the people that's listening, thank you so much. So I guess the last thing I just want to ask you, this one thing I'll ask every single guest, just share some final thoughts, some word of wisdom, some final inspiration after everything talked about in your life. You just share some final thoughts to everybody, and then we'll end off the podcast with that.
I guess I would say if you are waiting for a sign to start your business or to change paths, then, well, this is your sign. Just because you make a plan doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go your way. And if you find yourself, discouraged, then maybe you need to change that circle around you, because the people around you and the people that are in your ear, they should be motivating you. They should be inspiring you, trying to uplift you. And if you feel like you don't have that, then it's your responsibility to find that. And I'm just so happy to share my story. Thank you for allowing me to speak. It's my first time. So but this was really a lot of fun. So thank you for the opportunity.
And if everybody out there, I'm gonna definitely make sure all her information about her business is on this page. So definitely check out her page, follow, support, and check out her products.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and press the stop button. I'm gonna talk to you right after. Give me 1 second.